Why does a rock sink when thrown in water, but a ship, which is much larger, can float? This can be explained by Archimedes' principle. Archimedes was a Greek mathematician who discovered that a body immersed in a fluid is lifted up by a force equal to the weight of the displaced fluid. So basically, this means when an object is placed in water, the water shifts to make room for the object. This is also known as displacement. Now, when an object is immersed in water, there are two forces acting upon it. There is a downward force of gravity acting upon it, which is determined by the mass of the object, and there is an upward buoyant force that is determined by the mass of the water displaced. When the upward buoyant force is greater than the downward gravitational force, the object floats. However, if the buoyant force is less than the gravitational force, then the object sinks. Whether an object sinks or floats also depends on its density, which is the amount of matter in a substance per unit of volume. Most types of rocks have a density of around 2.5 to 3 grams per centimeter cubed, whereas water only has a density of 1 gram per centimeter cubed, making the rock a more dense substance. So, when you throw a rock in water, the gravitational force is greater than the buoyant force, making the rock sink. In order for the rock to float, it would have to displace a very large amount of water in order to have a greater buoyant force than the gravitational force. But what about the massive steel ships that are able to float easily in water? Steel also has a greater density than water at 7.8 grams per centimeter cubed. So shouldn't it sink? Well, a cube of steel would definitely sink. But a steel ship floats because the steel is flattened and shaped in a way to reduce the average density of the ship. The average density of the boat is a combination of air and steel and is very light compared to the average density of water. Therefore, the buoyant force is greater than the gravitational force acting upon the ship, and it floats. So, thanks to Archimedes, we now know why big ships float, even though small rocks sink.